All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Happy Wife School show. Nice to be here with everyone today. I missed you guys last week. I was visiting my parents and I was going to be there. I shared with you guys the last time I was live 2 weeks ago that the weekend I typically go see my parents is what's called Thunder over Louisville. But because of the flooding in that tri-state area of Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana, they had to cancel Thunder. But I had an awesome time with my parents and watched the Masters with my dad and never thought that watching golf on TV could be so engaging. But I had such a nice time sharing that with him and actually found it quite entertaining, and I was shocked. So it's good to be back today, and we are talking about everyone is lying to you about marriage and sex, and we're going to do some myth busting today on what good men need to know about their wives and sex. So we'll get into that in just a moment. But if you can let me know that you can hear me, see me, everything is coming through all right. Big thank you to Phil. Phil is holding down the fort today in the chat. Steve is with family for Easter. And then my friend Val is going to be capturing questions to send to me at the end of the live. So thank you so much, Val, for being here. If you have questions for me, please post them throughout the live. That'll make it easier for Val to capture those questions. I won't get to all of them, but I'll pick a handful of them that catch my attention and talk to them a little bit. So if you can put question or question for Karen, and that'll make it easy for Val to grab those questions for me. A couple of announcements. As always, if you like to listen to the Saturday show in podcast format, please go follow me on Spotify and Apple. And even if you don't, if you are on Spotify or Apple, if you could go follow the Happy Wife School show there and give the show a rating, that will help it to reach more people. And I would appreciate it very, very much. Also, please check out my colleague Josie's channel, Beyond Remission, A New Era for Permanent Healing. If you have an autoimmune disease or a loved one has an autoimmune disease, Josie does an incredible job of helping people to outgrow and heal, permanently heal their autoimmune diseases by working on their emotional state. So go check her channel out, give it a like and subscribe if that speaks to you. And with that being said, I'm just going to come over here and check that I'm not speaking into dead air, and then we will get started on our topic. Luke, thank you for giving Val an example. I appreciate that very, very much. C. Kelly, Karen is a relationship live wire. Thanks for being here, C. Kelly. Thank you, Phil. Just looking for that loud and clear. Usually it pops right out. There it is. Thank you so much, Phil. Hi to Rachel and the other women joining for the chat. It is so nice to have you guys here on Saturdays. And oh, Rachel, you said you're joining from the UK, but you're actually from Colorado. Very, very cool. And hi to Chris. Nice to have you again. Mike 88GT. I think I told you, I always see this license plate driving to work that says Mike 88, and your YouTube username pops in my mind. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and pop the chat down. I'll give it a look at the end of the show, and we're gonna get into our topic. And just a reminder as I get into this that my channel is for women, because on a spectrum as women, whether we want to see these issues and behaviors I talk about or not, as women, we all have what I call these woman ways on a spectrum that hinder and destroy a marriage and relationship to a good man. So this channel is for women married to good men, and we know if we are married to a good man or not. It is not a mystery. And also for good men who are married to women, knowing that all women have these issues on a spectrum, and you're here to learn and grow. So I want to give that reminder. And today on the topic, everyone is lying to you about marriage and sex, and we will head into, after that, 5 myths that good men need to know about their wives and sex. So the reason I want to talk about this today is that society, women influencers online, specifically even Christian influencers for men, manosphere influencers for men have convinced good men that there is something they can do to be sexually attractive to their wives and have their wives re-engage with sex. And this is a matrix, an ideology that appears true, but is not true. And this is a matrix that good men get stuck in a crazy making they get stuck in, trying all these different tips, tactics, strategies, trying to get their wives to re-engage with sex, which she doesn't. And then good men become even more discouraged, even weaker in themselves, insecure, believing they are the problem and there's something wrong with them or something they could have done or should have done differently, that their wife wouldn't have disengaged with sex or their wife would re-engage with sex. And this is where good men get stuck and they can't get out. And so I'm doing this episode today to help good men take out the mystery of why their wives have disengaged with sex and to really understand that they are not the problem. As a good man, if your wife is disengaged with sex, you are not the problem. And her disinterest and her withholding of sex and her not wanting to have sex. And so good men need to be red-pilled on that to see the truth of what's really going on, not to put you in a doomsday state or give you a reason to be in camp victim. Good men don't want to be in camp victim. This isn't to feel poor me. This is to see the reality. It is when we see truth and reality that we can actually begin to heal and navigate what's happening in our lives, or in this case for good men in their marriage, to be able to navigate it from a place of truth instead of going around in circles with things that do not work. And this episode is also for the women, the few women that come here and listen on Saturdays or that will listen later. This is the Red Pill for Women. That's the subtitle of the channel, The Happy Wife School, the Red Pill for Women, is to help us see the truth of our experience around sex, just like I had to see, just like the women I work with come to see, so that you can also be grounded in your truth and begin to heal and open back up to sex, knowing that there is nothing your husband can do or stop doing or change that will help you overcome your issues and hang-ups and disconnection around sex. You have to see that you are the problem with sex in your marriage so that you can begin to heal and open back up and share a healthy, normal, enjoyable experience that is part of marriage with your husband. So I'm speaking mainly to the men today, but this is for women as well, to help you open up and see this reality and see this truth. So there is a lot of what I call RBA out there for good men who are suffering from their wives withholding sex or even in a sexless marriage. There's really a lot of RBA, which means really bad advice in marriage counseling and books, like I said, in Christian influencers, the manosphere, I sometimes call it the man world, that you want to be able to break out of, because this RBA, really bad advice, has sent men feeling inadequate and inept in their ability to attract and have their wives sexually interested in them. And good men get caught believing if only they changed, if only you knew the insider secrets that other men who attract women and can keep their wives attracted and interested in sex, if they only knew those secrets, then they would have a more loving and respectful and attentive wife in the bedroom. And all of this advice and the games and strategies and tips that are taught creates a lie that good men fall into, that their wife isn't attracted to them or desired to them, that there's something missing in them and something they could be doing better. So I want to set the record straight today from a woman's perspective, and having worked with hundreds of women and talked with thousands of women, to bust the myths that are out there so that good men can know there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do to get your wife re-engaged with sex and interested in sex when she is shut down, withholding it, and rejecting you around sex. And again, this is so that you have answers and clarity on these issues so that you know it's not you. And the really important point of why this RBA, really bad advice, is so bad, I want to point something out. And I've talked about how women use sex as a tool. We use sex as a tool to get a man, to fulfill our fantasy of wanting a marriage and a family, believing that that will make us happy. So I have a video on the switch, and how as women we have a switch. And when we are ready to settle down and get married, and in general, we want to marry a good man because good men are predictable, stable, steady, and we want the security that a good man can provide in that steadiness and predictability. So we choose a good man. And when we marry a good man, our switch for sex is on, because that's what we know we have to do to get the man and get the marriage and to be taken care of. So we use sex as a means to an end to get what we want. And we pretend that we like sex and are very convincing to ourselves and to the man we are trying to get our hooks into that we enjoy it, but it is a charade, and we are acting and putting on a show to get what we want, which is the marriage and down the road in general, a family. So again, it's a means to an end, that sex is never something that was real or genuine or that we did from our heart or out of love. So if that's true, that we use sex as a tool to get the marriage, to get the man, to get the family, once we get the man and we get the marriage, there's no reason to continue having sex because we got what we want. So we will either very abruptly disengage. I hear from men all the time, my wife had sex with me on the honeymoon and then it just stopped, or became less and less and less and less from that point on. So she can maybe keep the charade up for a little bit. Some women can keep it up a little longer. And then eventually we begin to pull away, shut down, put our walls up to sex because we got what we wanted. And we were never really interested in sex in the first place. So if that's true, and there was no interest in the first place, then there's nothing a good man can do to make his wife interested in sex. She was never interested in the first place. It was a tool to get to what she wanted, which was the marriage and the family and the security of being taken care of. So again, there's nothing a good man can do from that place to get his wife interested in sex again, because she wasn't interested in the first place. It was a charade. It was a show. I thought of an example in this. That's not sex related or marriage related. And many of us can relate to this, I'm sure, both women and men alike. It's like when we know we have some weight to lose, but we're not necessarily gym people, don't really enjoy working out. Not something that if anyone wasn't checking up on us, we wouldn't be doing and we wouldn't be interested in it. But if we have the goal of losing weight and we start going to the gym, but we weren't really interested in the gym in the first place, we wanted the goal met, the weight to be lost. What happens a lot of time is once we accomplish that goal of losing the weight we wanted to lose, there's no incentive to keep going to the gym. And there's nothing anyone can do. If someone's not interested in going to the gym just because we know it's what's good for us and we find a way to enjoy it and we're interested in going to the gym for the sake of going to the gym as a way to care for us, if that's not there and that commitment isn't there in someone, there's nothing another person or something can do to get that person interested in going to the gym and keeping going to the gym. Once they lose the weight, there's very little incentive to keep going. If all we wanted was to lose the weight, we lose the weight and then we start making the excuses and we start slacking off and we stop going to the gym. That's what happens with women in a marriage with sex. We get what we wanted. We weren't genuinely interested in sex in the first place. And so there's nothing our husbands can do to make us interested. That's why it's really, really bad advice that the books and society and influencers convince men that you're the problem and why your wife doesn't want to have sex with you and you need to make yourself more attractive and desirable to her. That's false. And again, this is to take the mystery out of what's going on. Sadly, a good man is an inconvenient accessory for the woman to get what she wants. Again, the fantasy of what she thought a marriage and having a family would give to her. And because a good man is the inconvenient accessory for a woman to get what she wants, that's why he's so easily discarded and put aside and put at the complete bottom of his wife's list. He's not even on the list. That's why that happens. He was the inconvenient accessory for the wife to get what she wanted. And I know in sharing this and exposing these truths that it's sad and it's heavy. But again, as I said in the beginning of the video, it's really important to know the reality for good men so that you're not wondering why your marriage and sex in the marriage has turned out the way that it has. In general, good man's still going to love his wife. When good men reach out to me, it's amazing the things that you'll share of how your wife is treating you in the marriage and how cruel she can be and it is almost always followed up. But she's a wonderful woman, and I love her. So even knowing these truths, a good man in general is still going to love his wife. And the purpose of knowing these truths isn't to put you in camp victim, but to take your power back so you know the reality of what's happening and stop thinking it's you and something you could have or should be doing differently. And for the women listening, I had a hard time really seeing and knowing and taking responsibility that I didn't really enjoy sex and wasn't interested in sex when I met my husband or relationships I had prior, because I thought, no, I really did enjoy it. But I had to see, because if you fall into that, it can be difficult to see this and the truth and reality of it. Because we could even convince ourselves in our show, in our act, of enjoying it. But I had to slow down and get honest of there was always a hidden agenda. Even if it was the hidden agenda to get the marriage or to put my hooks in a man and get him to want me, and knowing that sex was a tool, I had to do that. We all know that. It's very logical. But there was always a hidden agenda. And if I'm honest with myself and looking back, sex always confronted me with the ways that I didn't like my body. I didn't like the way that I looked, not feeling good about myself afterward, or disconnecting in the experience because I didn't really know what I liked or wanted and just wanted to do what I thought a man would like or want. And there's a lot of clues in there that let us know we weren't genuinely enjoying it. And the good news is, even in our show or act, we can see that we can learn to enjoy it. However, we have to be honest with ourselves about how we use sex as a tool, not to make ourselves wrong and bad, but to be able to open up to the experience and resolve that and heal that within ourselves, because it's a miserable place to be. Do not fool yourself. I remember being shut down to sex in my marriage and what a tremendous weight that was on myself and how much anxiety I caused myself in that. And we all know as women, when we are in that position, that we carry that. So by seeing this is a way to take responsibility of this in yourself so that you can genuinely open up to sex and enjoy it. And we can look back and see how even in our show and putting on an act that we could have fun in it shows us we can have fun in it genuinely and enjoy it genuinely without a hidden agenda, and give that gift to ourselves and to our husbands and honor our vows in marriage. So with all of that being said, now I would like to get into 5 myths good men need to know about their wives and sex. And again, this is to break out of the crazy making that good men fall into, thinking there is something that they can do to re-engage their wives in sex and get her interested again when she is shut down to sex. This is for good men to break out of that, to see the truth. So again, you can take back the power you've given away in your marriage to your wife in the area of sex. So the first myth, number 1, your wife had sex with you because she enjoyed sex and loved you. The truth and reality is that it was a tool to get you in the marriage And now that she has you and has the marriage and has the kids, there's no reason for her to follow through, which is why you hear the excuses from your wife. Oh, I'm just not feeling well, or I have a headache, or I'm just really tired. I'm not in the mood, or, oh, it's not the right time of day. You didn't initiate at the right time, or it's my hormones, or it's this trauma I had that you never even knew about that now is creeping its head up, and that's why I can't have sex. And that's where the excuses come from. There's no character and integrity in how we misrepresent ourselves as women in the beginning to enjoy and have a lot of sex to get the marriage. We're misrepresenting ourselves because, again, we're using it as a tool to get you in the marriage. And there's no character and integrity in misrepresenting ourselves. So, of course, there's no character and integrity to follow through after marriage. It's a sham. The second myth good men need to know about their wives and sex. Number 2, you are the problem of why your wife doesn't want to have sex with you. And there is something you can do to make her have sex with you and be more attracted to you and desire you. But the truth is, there's nothing you could have done or can do because she wasn't interested in the first place. So it's not a limitation or shortcoming on you in the bedroom. And it's important that you know that so you don't get wrapped up with the different influencers and the Christian and manosphere dogma that says it's you that needs to be more desirable and attractive. Or different strategies you need to use. Some of the popular ones I've heard are learning to have game in your marriage or creating polarity. Good men don't have game. And it's not natural to a good man to have game and use these tips and strategies. The men I have talked to, it's very awkward. It's very uncomfortable. It doesn't feel right. I feel like I'm playing a game with my wife. And their experiences when they try to do the things to have game in their marriage, most times their wife is, what are you doing? Don't do that. What are you doing? And it doesn't work. And then good men end up feeling completely defeated. The third myth that good men need to know about their wives and sex, number 3, sex is supposed to be spontaneous and passionate. Here's the truth. Women hate spontaneity. Women hate spontaneity. We become so rigid and need to have a firm grasp of control on our experience at all times. And this just gets worse and worse and worse and worse as we get older. And if we don't have a way to work on it and overcome those patterns, we just get more controlling, more rigid, and we hate spontaneity. It catches us off guard. And then in regards to sex, thinking sex is supposed to be spontaneous in a marriage, then we have a constant anxiety of when is it going to happen? Oh, he just came up and hugged me from behind. Does that mean we're going to have sex now? And we get totally wrapped up in that anxiety and worry of when it is going to happen. So if your wife is telling you, I want it to be spontaneous or it needs to be more passionate, it's just another excuse we can throw out of why we're not having sex or why we're disinterested in it and what our husbands need to do to change to make us want to have it. And then in regards to passion, we can't be genuinely passionate in the bedroom because we aren't passionate about sex. We can't be passionate in the bedroom because we aren't passionate about sex. It's a ruse. It's a ruse we create as women for why we don't want sex. It's not passionate anymore. But we don't have a passion for sex or even want to have it when we are so shut down and pushing it away and have never learned to enjoy it for ourselves. So when your wife tells you this, again, it's just another excuse she's throwing out of why she's not having sex. The fourth myth good men need to know about their wives and sex. Number 4, your wife is like an oven, and she needs to be warmed up and put in the right mood to have sex. And that somehow it's your responsibility to get her in the mood, and you're supposed to just know. Because she'll never really tell you what she needs in order to be warmed up or put in the mood. She wants you to just know. And this comes from our story as women for a need to have romance and convince good men who don't know any better. Listen, I'm a woman. And then society and culture plays into this, and the different influencers and experts, that I'm a woman and you don't understand. This is what I need to want to have sex. And in this, she's convincing you that she actually wants to have sex and is interested in sex, and making you believe if you jump through all these hoops and do all these things and you do it right, I will want to have sex with you. It's a con. It's a con. The con is that we make you believe if you do these things to warm us up and put us in the mood, and you do them right, that we will want to have sex with you. But then you never do it right. And she lets you know that. So she makes you go through all these hoops to have sex, to have the excuses of, well, you don't do it right to put me in the mood, and that's why I don't want to have sex. When the truth is, she never wanted sex in the first place. Which leads to the 5th myth that good men need to know about their wives and sex. Number 5, that your wife actually knows what she wants and likes in the bedroom. As women, we have never taken the time to really learn our bodies and what we actually really like, and to be able to communicate that clearly and feel comfortable communicating that. We've always done sex of what we think a man wants, or who we're supposed to be in the bedroom, or what it's supposed to look like, but we've never explored that for ourselves. So again, she can stay in the excuse, if you did it right and the way I need it, I'd be interested. So these 5 myths are the lies women make up about sex to deceive good men. And our culture and society feeds them and enables them. So, as always in my videos, let's get to a little bit of solution. And in this, I'm going to talk to the men first today. The reason that I shared these, again, is I want good men to know the reality so that you get out of the crazy making that there's something you can do differently or change. Not for you to be victims or feel poor me, but to know the reality, and to also know there's no mystery fantasy woman out there that you could have that would be enjoying and wanting to have sex genuinely with you. That you didn't marry the wrong woman, you married a woman, and these are the issues that we have on a spectrum. So there's some men out there who hit the jackpot, whose wives are women that actually want to look at these things and work on themselves to change. And if your wife, if you've been brave and courageous to share one of my videos and your wife has been open to listening to them and she is trying, or she's even taken my course and she's trying, she's not going to be perfect. It takes time for these behaviors to change, but you want to know you hit the jackpot in having a woman who's willing to look at herself and work on herself, no matter how long it takes for those things to change, particularly in the bedroom. So what do you do with this information? It's to finally understand why your wife and your sex life has turned out the way that it has. Again, so you don't drive yourself crazy thinking there's something you could have done differently or could do differently now to change it, and it gets you out of the crazy making. So you have to do the best you can with the wife that you married if you are choosing to stay, or if you're choosing to make a plan to leave, to take responsibility for whatever your choice is. So again, you are not stuck in camp victim. And for the women listening, I want to give a reminder, I've said this before, that God has made us with all the right parts to enjoy sex. And it is simply learning to enjoy sex for yourself and having character and integrity to follow through with your vows to be sexually intimate with your husband, that it is absolutely a part of a healthy marriage. And anyone or anything else that says differently is, what's the word I want to, they're lying to you. It makes absolutely no sense that marriage could be healthy without intimacy and having sex. It is a normal, healthy part of a marriage. So it's having integrity to follow through, knowing that, and that this being for women married to good men, your good man is waiting there for you. That you lucked out in marrying a good man. So as you change your behaviors and patterns and re-engage with sex, he's going to be right there waiting for you. So that's the topic for today. Thank you all so much for joining me and taking time out on your weekend to be here. If you enjoyed the video and you haven't already, please hit like. It'll help it reach more people. Share this with anyone you know that this could be helpful for. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. So Val is going to send me some questions here in a moment. I'm going to give her a little time to get those over to me, and I will pop over to the chat here after I take a quick sip of water. All right. So let's see what's going on over here. All right. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Phil. I appreciate your generosity very much. Phil says, bless your journey, Karen, and your willingness to share your experience and the pain it has caused you before you change. Thank you, Phil, for that acknowledgement. And sharing that. And Phil, you're the best. Great show, Karen. Take Adam out to dinner, please. I gladly will. Thank you. As I've shared before, the contributions I get on my live shows often go to Adam and I going out and having a little fun. So we will do that, Phil. We've got our camping season coming up, so we're squirreling away a little money for that. We've got some fun places that we are going. And then thank you to Thrive for your questions, because they involve trauma. Let me just, what about, to get the wife. Thank you guys for your patience. I'm just reading through these to see how I might address these. Yeah, so my perspective is that good men don't do these same things. It is not in a trauma or not in their past. A good man's nature is he is not and has nowhere in him the ability to know how to manipulate, deceive, play games with a woman. A good man's nature is he is thoughtful, he's caring, he's kind, He wants to do the right thing. He wants to take responsibility and work through his issues and challenges, even trauma from the past, and doesn't use those things as a victim card of his issues and problems in his marriage, generally speaking. A good man doesn't have this wiring that I talk about in what we do as women, that we are calculated and strategic in our tactics that we use with good men. And that's why good men, and why my channel is for good men get so confused and so lost in the games that their wives or women play with them, including their mothers, because one of your questions involved mothers, and good men can absolutely be emasculated and manipulated by their mothers. It's very, very prevalent. But it is not in them and not their nature. They are susceptible and vulnerable to those behaviors and treatments from a woman because they can't spot them, because they don't have them. And that's why a good man gets so lost in the games his wife plays and truly believes he is the problem because he can't see it otherwise. And then he struggles to stand up to his wife if he is able to see it through education or learning and realizing what's really going on. He struggles to stand up to his wife because of how badly she's made him feel about himself and how terrified she has made him in the marriage to stand up to him. So that's why I speak to good men, as I'm speaking very specifically to the men who are sensitive and easily tricked and manipulated by a woman, and can't see the forest through the trees to know what's really going on. So from my perspective and what I teach, no, good men do not have these behaviors that I talked about today, trauma or not, and do not behave in this way with women. So thank you for your contributions and for your question. So I'm going to head over to my email real quick, and give me just a second, guys. Thank you. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Val. Crushed it. All right. So Val has sent me some questions and comments. All right. Oh, thank you so much for your comment, Rachel. I have since reached deep within myself and accepted that I am the problem, and my true healing has begun. Awesome. These are good tears. Good for you. And it's touching to me because you're the women I'm speaking to and trying to hold a hand out to pull you up and help you see the truth so you can bring out the goodness in you and heal and be the woman in my beliefs that God made you to be, or that you were meant to be. So it's very touching for you to share your experience and to know you're able to accept yourself as the problem and that you're healing. That is incredible, and you should be so proud of yourself. And you are a very special woman to be able to be honest with yourself and reach deep within to see yourself as the problem. So thank you so much. And thanks, Val, for sending that comment over. Yeah, question. Good question. Why is the withdrawal of sex the first move women use in marital negotiations? Great question. We know it is the most important thing to a man, and we only used it as a tool to get the marriage. So once we got the marriage, we stopped and disengaged with sex because we got what we wanted. It was a means to an end. We weren't genuinely interested in it to begin with, which is why that's our first move. It's everything that I talked about today. There's not a genuine interest there. We haven't learned to enjoy it for ourselves. So it's the first thing we take away. We know it's the thing that is most important to our husbands and has the biggest effect and impact on them in a negative way that allows us to gain the power and control in the relationship so that we hold all the cards. That's why. And we know it. And then to boot, we live in camp victim, blaming our husbands for our unhappiness and the problems in the marriage. So we feel justified and entitled to withhold sex and other important parts of a relationship like affection, fun, appreciation, respect, approval of our husbands, kindness. We feel entitled and justified to withhold those parts of a relationship because living in Camp Victim, we blame our husbands for the problems and our unhappiness. It's a very twisted and cruel web that we weave. Okay. Bless you. Bless you. There are more men in your situation than I would have ever believed. So a question, as someone that is in a 43-year sexless marriage, seriously, no sex for 35 years. Bless you. I don't hate my wife. That's a good man. But I resent her. And the idea of having sex with her now is repulsive. That's reasonable and understandable in her treatment of you and withholding sex. And bless you, this is a man sharing it was still his vows and commitment and value to stay married, even in a sexless marriage for a long term. And the key piece to letting go of the resentment, it doesn't make what your wife has done okay or appropriate in any way, but how we let go of resentment as humans is by taking responsibility for our choice to stay in the situation. And taking responsibility is, what was it in me? What's the weakness in me that I allowed and didn't know better, but allowed this treatment to happen and go on for so long and not addressing it right up front. That's what good men don't know how to do or what to do. And even as you do, as I talked about today, there's nothing you can do to change it for your wife, but you had a choice in staying. And so when we take responsibility for that choice to stay, knowing the circumstances and seeing the reality, that's how we let go of resentment. I heard a quote once, I don't know who to attribute it to or where it came from, but something like resentment or anger, but we'll use resentment in this case. Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. So the resentment is most damaging to ourselves. So how we let go of that is by moving into Camp Take Responsibility, by taking responsibility for our choice to stay. And that's not easy, and not seeing what happened is okay, but that's the cure for resentment is responsibility for our choices. And you're not responsible for what your wife has done, but you're responsible for your choice to stay in it. And that's how you can let go of that resentment. And it's understandable you wouldn't want to have sex with her, and that seems repulsive. Thank you, Chris, for your comments, and especially to the women in the chat. Thank you to all the women in the chat. It takes a lot of courage and self-introspection to listen to Karen. Great. Thank you so much, Chris, for that acknowledgement of the women in the chat. Chris is spot on. It does take a lot of courage and self-introspection to listen to me and what I have to share. And another comment, Chris, thank you. Every word from you, Karen, is an answer as to how she was and all the things I never understood during those 35 years. It's incredible. And it doesn't take away what's happened, but that's my hope for the men listening, is that the understanding allows you to heal, and again, allows to get out of that place of thinking that it was you. And I also appreciate the comment. I love how true you are to feel your emotions as you speak, Karen. Thank you for that. There's so much confusion and misinformation, and I can see you speak from your heart and truth. I do. I love that you are awake, as there's so much confusion again, and misinformation. Yeah. Yep. I'm awake. I am awake. Oh, thanks, Val. Val sent one more. Val crushed it today. Thank you so much, Val. Yeah. 65-year-old widower here. So do women actually like sex or not? I'm talking physically. We have to learn to enjoy sex because we have used it for the wrong reasons and as a tool, and we've never learned to enjoy it for ourselves. We don't genuinely enjoy it. But that's what I was saying. We are made with all the right parts for it to be enjoyable. And that's been my journey. And I would have said I really loved sex and sex was great. But now I can look back and see the facade that I created. But that facade helped me to know, well, it's in me to genuinely enjoy sex, but I have to learn my own body and what I like, what I don't like, and open up to the experience. And then, of course, we can enjoy it. We were made with all the right parts for it to be pleasurable and to be fun and enjoyable. And that's my encouragement to women, and to also really simplify it. I have lots of videos to support women with sex and opening up to it. In fact, I think my amazing, amazing assistant, Chelsea, created a playlist on sex, like what women need to know about sex. I'm not sure of the name, but if you go under playlist on the channel, I know there's a playlist for women and sex, and I encourage the women who listen to go check that out. So thanks so much for that question. I want to hop back over to the chat just for a moment here and just see if there's anything else that catches my eye. Thank you so much to all the regulars here. I love seeing your names pop up. I just saw a good comment. Shame is a knife. Yes, it is. That's exactly what we do in our emasculation and gaslighting of good men in a marriage as women, is that the emasculation is shaming and making a good man feel wrong and bad, and it is very much a knife. So great comment. Let's see. Oh, my chat froze up here. You're welcome, Mauricio. Mauricio said, thank you for understanding, Karen. Costanza, nice to be here. Your first live. Welcome. Thanks for being here. And then, there we go. All right. Seeing if there's anything else out that stands out. Let's see, Marjorie, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, most women do struggle with accountability, which is why marriages don't last. You're saving marriages. Thank you so much. What a kind comment. That's the aim here. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much, Phil, for holding down the chat today and keeping an eye on the comments. I appreciate you so much. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for the day, guys. But thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a happy Easter tomorrow for those who celebrate, and just appreciate your support of the channel so much, and look forward to continuing, and look forward to seeing you all next weekend. Stay safe and